independent radio station in South Florida.
If you tryna vibe with me, then pull up. Tryna socialize with me, then I roll up. No one else around, so I might be tryna fuck. Baby, just ease up. I'm rolling some weed up. You pull up, we roll 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 up. Yeah. Chocolate kisses. Yeah, they so delicious. A little bit of caramel, sprinkling some sprinkles. Never thirsty for no touching, only hungry for these riches. But when she ain't by my side, I know that I be steady wishing that I had it in my bedroom and after in my kitchen to cook me some chicken fat. After I stick my dick in, I'm a raunchy motherfucker and she like it, she a witness. I'll start the titty licking, penetrating, give it vicious. I'm a Brooklyn born, raised all over the place, face lit up like I'm blazed, so smoking the J, rolling with nobody but my bitch, myself and my team. Somehow I'm still having dreams, but I got no time to sleep. You can see me on the stage most days. Getting in my way will be a big mistake. Me and all my homies, we done been through things, and that's why we don't hesitate to let that bang. If you tryna vibe with me, then pull up. Tryna socialize with me, then I roll up. No one else around, so I might be tryna fuck. Baby, just ease up. I'm rolling some weed up. You pull up, we roll 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 up. Yeah. I got smoke. Yeah, I got ganja. If you coming through, then we smoking till the sun's up. I'll make the pussy wetter than Miami in the summer. When you ain't around, shit is drier than the tundra. It's just me and you, and if you down to ride and spend the night, I might just be your friend for life. Like a service call, like I'm doing lay the pipe. I don't charge a fee, but you know she paid the price. That lady like the finer things in life. For those shoes, looting shoes that fit the chain so nice. So what's up with it? Though you exhibit them extra feelings, need to hear it. To know that you with it, you like to fit it. I ain't tripping, there's plenty more bitches if you was kidding. But listen, the moment you leave is when I be finished, I'm quitting. You know I keep it consistent, I'm on a mission to make up, be rapping, singing, performing for all the middle. If you pulling up, we smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, we rolling up, we smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, we rolling up, we smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, we rolling up, we smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, we rolling up, we smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, we rolling up, we smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, we rolling up, we smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, we rolling up, we smoking, yeah, 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 yeah.
K1NGZOE, the #1 independent radio station in South Florida.
If you tryna vibe with me, then pull up. Tryna socialize with me, then I roll up. No one else around, so I might be tryna fuck. Baby, just ease up. I'm rolling some weed up. You pull up, we roll 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 up. Yeah. Chocolate kisses. Yeah, they so delicious. A little bit of caramel, sprinkling some sprinkles. Never thirsty for no touching, only hungry for these riches. But when she ain't by my side, I know that I be steady wishing that I had it in my bedroom and after in my kitchen to cook me some chicken fat. After I stick my dick in, I'm a raunchy motherfucker and she like it, she a witness. I'll start the titty licking, penetrating, give it vicious. I'm a Brooklyn born, raised all over the place, face lit up like I'm blazed, so smoking the J, rolling with nobody but my bitch, myself and my team. Somehow I'm still having dreams, but I got no time to sleep. You can see me on the stage most days. Getting in my way would be a big mistake. Me and all my homies, we done been through things, and that's why we don't hesitate to let that bang. If you tryna vibe with me, then pull up. Tryna socialize with me, then I roll up. No one else around, so I might be tryna fuck. Baby, just ease up. I'm rolling some weed up. You pull up, we roll 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 up. Yeah. I got smoke. Yeah, I got ganja. If you coming through, then we smoking till the sun's up. I'll make the pussy wetter than Miami in the summer. When you ain't around, shit is drier than the tundra. It's just me and you, and if you down to ride and spend the night, I might just be your friend for life. Like a service call, like I'm doing lay the pipe. I don't charge a fee, but you know she paid the price. That lady like the finer things in life. For those shoes, looting shoes that fit the chain so nice. So what's up with it? Though you exhibit them extra feelings, need to hear it. To know that you with it, you like to fit listen, I ain't tripping. There's plenty more bitches if you was kidding. But listen, the moment you leave is when I be finished. I'm quitting. You know I keep it consistent. I'm on a mission to make a be rapping, singing, performing for all the millions. If you pulling up, be rolling up, be smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, be rolling up, be smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, be rolling up, be smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, be rolling up, be smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, be rolling up, be smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, be rolling up, be smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, be rolling up, be smoking, yeah, yeah. If you pulling up, be rolling up, be smoking, yeah, 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 yeah.
You are now tuned in to K1NG Radio, the #1 independent radio station in South Florida. What's going on? It's your main man, K1NG, KNGZOE. Knowledge of one, no gimmicks, can't rule over many till you rule over the most important one. And I got a special guest in the building with me today. I got the homie Tony Blanko in the building. Show us some love,
man. What's good, everybody? What's happening? Tony Blanko on the cut.
So what's good? What's good? So man, I've been seeing you out here getting busy, running around, doing shows just about every motherfucking where possible, man.
For real, man.
So you know, like, what get you up in the morning, man? What get you going,
man?
With
Purpose,
this much energy, man.
Purpose, bro.
You always got a shitload of energy. Every
oh
time
hell
I
yeah,
see you, bro. So
hell yeah. It's like how you start your day is basically like it's like a snowball that'll keep rolling. So I don't want to wake up like kind of like hating life because there's no way to live. That's kind of the purpose. Right now, I'm not where I want to be in life, right? So like working a 9 to 5, like what you're doing right now, you're a CEO, you're a boss of what you do. You have ownership. So it's like, you know, like that's kind of where that is where I'm trying to go. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's the purpose that gets me up in the morning because I don't want to work for somebody else.
Absolutely. I mean, shit, that's my motivation to keep working as well. But you know, you always got to start somewhere.
Facts.
So now I want to know, like, where did music come from? Like, how did you really get introduced to music and to the point that you wanted to do music?
Okay. So a couple things come to mind with that. First of all, I wanted to be an actor. Always wanted to be an actor. And then, so I would say around the time of like when Drake started popping off, it was like 2008, 2009.
Right.
And he said something about how like acting wasn't bringing in that money that he wanted. But the self-expression, more importantly, was that it was holding him back. It was like when you act, you're acting like somebody else.
Right.
So when you do music, you're expressing yourself like unconditionally. And that's what I'm about. You know, I believe in expressing yourself unapologetically. Right. So that's really why music was where I wanted to take it. Right. And then also, I was like 12 years old, and I used to go back and forth to Brooklyn with my dad because that's where I'm from. And then we moved to PA. Yeah, BK, what's up? What's up? What's happening? So we moved out of Brooklyn right after, I think it was shortly after. Okay, not even right after 9/11, but like so many people were moving. Right. It was like a couple years, maybe 2006 that we left, but my dad still worked there, so I would go back and forth with him. And that was such a tease, man, because that's where I wanted to be.
Right.
You know, so like living in PA, it was like, you know, I went from living in Brooklyn where there was like massive diversity to like going to PA where there was like, you know, like I was considered Mexican. And they were like, yeah, like it's crazy. And I have family that's Mexican, so it was like to be told that in a derogative way was like, what the hell? Like, where am I right now? It's changed since then, you know, because a lot of New Yorkers have moved out. But anyway, diverging from what you said, I was in the car one day and my dad put on Changes by Tupac.
Right.
And I didn't know what it was. And you know how it starts with the singing? I thought it was Beyonce. So I changed it. My dad looked at me and he's like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing, right? So then he put it back. I was like, Dad, I don't want to listen to this shit. He's like, what? He's like, you don't like Tupac? And I was like, what are you talking about, Tupac?
You almost got disowned.
For real, bro. For real.
That was one of the moments your father looked at you and he
like,
was just
is this my kid?
What did I raise? Where did I go wrong? So now your dad plays Changes for you.
And he rapped every single word.
Word for word.
Word for word.
And so that made you like, damn, I like music because just on how it affected your old boy.
It was like, you know, I was already liking music, but I wasn't listening to the old school yet.
Right.
I was listening to Akon, who is still one of my favorites. Listening to Eminem. I was listening to Drake. I wasn't listening to Tupac and Biggie. And then it's like my dad put me on. So
I was listening to stuff around your time period.
Right.
And he put you on to some other shit.
Hell yeah.
So now when he put you on to that, like how did that trigger you into wanting to create your own music though?
So I think that was like one of the dominoes that fell in order to get the rest started. But it was really like I was watching a documentary because at that point I was interested in Tupac. Right. I wanted to know everything there was to know about him. Like right now he's my favorite, and he's been since that day. But I was watching a documentary and they were talking about how he wrote Dear Mama, and I was totally like blown away by that. So I wrote my first poem ever because of that documentary, and it was about my mom.
Right.
So that's really what started like, okay, I could write poems. And the way that Tupac looked at it was that poetry is bars, you know? So like when I heard that approach, I was like, okay, well, I'm already writing poetry, so let me just attack that, you know?
So how long did it take from the poetry phase to the start writing the rhymes phase, as far as like rapping? Because writing poetry and rapping, that's different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, and the reason I say it's different is because it's like now, yeah, you could say words and poetry and stuff like that, but now you gotta put it on a rhythm.
Right.
Now you gotta put it on a beat. Now you gotta have an ear out for more than just your words. Now you gotta have an ear for good music.
Right.
To go with your words. Then you gotta talk about the cadence, how you gonna ride the beat. So it's like, how was that? Like, what was that, and when was that transition from simple, not gonna say simple, but just poetry to now adding other things to it and to creating music?
Well, I think it was like my own natural cadence that was coming out when I was writing poetry.
Right.
I didn't start writing poetry to be a poet.
Right.
I started writing poetry because of pop.
Right.
So I already had that natural, like, basically the way that I was forming them was for music in the first place.
Oh, so you started off like writing raps, but it was just but you called it poetry at the time because you ain't know it was raps because you ain't had no music to go to it.
Kinda.
Okay. So then from there, what happens? Like
from there, man,
we're trying to get the whole Tony BLANKO story.
Right. So I would say what happened there was that it came to a point in like senior year of high school. Me and my brother, we used to smoke every single day, right? And we kind of challenged ourselves to freestyle. And like you couldn't, since like we didn't have unlimited, you feel me? But we wanted to smoke every day. So whatever bit we had, we would challenge ourselves. Be like, yo, if you can't spit a dope 16, you can't hit. You can't take a hit.
That's weird. I'm not even gonna lie.
For real.
That's some real off the wall gladiator shit.
Nah, for real.
So basically, whoever had the hardest. So who picked who had the hardest 16?
No, it's just us. It was just me and my brother vibing. So
that means if your 16 was harder than your brother's 16, he had to sit there.
We was both getting high. It didn't matter.
Okay,
we was both getting fucked up.
I'm not just gonna sit there and just watch you smoke in front of me.
Right.
And you talking about your bars are better than mine because no matter what, it's gonna be biased.
Right.
Because you always gonna say your bars are better.
Nah, the purpose was to get a full 16 out.
Right.
It wasn't even like.
So it was just it was just better. It's just more like we just practicing.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
And then it came to a point in senior year where it was like, okay, so I'm about to get financial aid to go to school. What do you want to go to school for? I was like, well, I don't want to be like a lawyer. I don't want to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was like a million things that I could think of what I didn't want to do. And I was like, I have a chance right now. You know, being in Northeast PA, which is like close to Scranton and Poconos, is 2 hours away.
That's funny because one of my favorite shows is The Office.
The Office. Everybody knows Scranton
that's
because
a
of The
real
Office.
place. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so shout out to Scranton, shout out to the Poconos. You know, I can't deny I was raised there, you know, because I moved from Brooklyn at such a young age, and then I started going back. But there was a good 2-year gap where I was just there.
Right.
You know, so definitely formed like who I am today from being in so many different places and so many different like variety.
Yeah, I mean, I moved around a lot too when I as a jitterbug, so I already understand. I moved all over the place, so
like you can't really say that like a lot of people, if they came from just one place, it's like a regional sound that they have.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's like I could say that I pulled different styles from different areas.
Yeah,
you know?
I say the same thing. I'm a nomad. I go all over the place. So, but as far as like from rapping, so when did you start recording?
Recording. So I went to school for audio engineering.
Where?
It was a community college, Luzerne County Community College. So there's a lot of great professors there, a lot of people who like, you know, really put me onto a lot of stuff. They had like state of the art fucking like mixing boards and stuff. And so I went there for audio engineering because I was like, this is my one chance. I don't know, and I still don't know if I could get financial aid again. I really don't know. To me, at that point in life, I was like, all right, this is your one chance. So what are you gonna go for?
To get a nice piece of bread.
Exactly.
Right.
So I went there for audio engineering, and since then I've been recording myself. I've been recording my brother. He knows how to record himself, and actually, I always thought since I didn't have Pro Tools that would hold me back, and that like I always just kept my raps, you know, like not released or anything like that.
Right.
We use FL Studio for everything, right? So one day, me and my cousins, I put like everybody on. I was the one who wanted to rap. Everybody in my family started rapping because I was like, yo, let's rap. You know, I just wanted to play around. So, because there wasn't a lot of people where I was living necessarily that I would want to like mess with.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, everybody was out doing like construction jobs and stuff, and that's cool. I did my share, but it was like, those weren't the people.
That's not what I wanted to do, though.
Exactly.
Those aren't you know, a lot of times you can't hang around people who aren't dreamers.
Exactly.
Because then they're going to dampen your spirits or, you know, bring you down. Not saying that people who work construction do that type of shit.
Nah, but it was just like they were too stuck in like, they stuck in their cycles.
Yeah, they wanted to do what they want to do and how they want to live life. And that's just not how you want to do things.
Well, so I viewed it as if like it wasn't even what they wanted to do. But just that like so many people, like you said, they're not dreamers. So they don't have a passion. Like people who don't have a passion kind of scare me. Because it's like if you don't believe in something, then
you're just existing.
Yeah, and you'll put time into hating on others. It's because I believe in something of mine that I can't hate on somebody for believing in something of their own. Right. I want to help them, you know. And I see a lot of that in you.
I'll just be chilling. I don't be doing nothing. I don't do shit.
Yeah, right.
But like so, okay. Now we in Pennsylvania. We recording ourselves after we go to school. So now, after you get out of school, did you graduate?
I did graduate.
So after you get out of school, what was next?
I had a life-changing injury the week before graduation.
Right.
And I had 2 hernias that were like down there. You feel me? So it's like I couldn't walk, I couldn't run. At that time, I was super athletic, so I would always be doing pull-ups and always running and stuff. And basically, like smoking, working out, even fucking, like all those things that I love doing were taken away from me for like 2 straight years.
Damn.
So I had to like really rebuild, and like it took away the ego. Right. It was like, this is who you think you are, and then boom, identity crisis. Who the fuck are you now?
Right.
You know, you don't have all these things